Dorothy Zelda Lansend spent her first few years in England before her parents picked up and relocated Dot and her younger sister to Australia. Travel expenses were £10 each for a 5-week boat trip. They were settled in a council house in the northern suburbs of Adelaide.
According to her teachers, Dot was quiet, reserved, and smart. Excuse me. She won multiple art awards in her final year of high school, and she moved to the city to study art history before leaving university in her second year to become a ticket seller and trainee projectionist at the newly opened New Star Theatre, now known as the Capri.
On a warm Saturday, December night, the year the cinema opened, Dot let a woman use a concession pass a day after it had expired to see Boomtown, starring Clark Gable. Even though the pass was for two, the woman was alone, and after her shift, Dot joined Annie for the end of the film.
Annie left her telephone number and a sweet message on the out-of-date voucher for Dot at the end of the night. Maybe you can sneak me in next time. Although I was not watching the film all that much, Annie. They were together for the next 20 years.
Dot became lead projectionist at the Capri. She wrote many shorts, but they were never filmed. In her spare time, she directed radio and television advertisements for local businesses.
When Annie died in 1962, and before dying by suicide in approximately 1965, Dot wrote her first and only television program titled Back of Bourke. Yeah, you need to say that.
All right, yep. Welcome to Back of Bourke.
This is a podcast dedicated to unravelling the mysterious 1960s Australian television program Back of Bourke. The show has no remaining or known footage of any of the unknown number of episodes, and confusing contradictory information regarding the writers, directors, and overall narrative.
Which is not entirely accurate
now. Not at all, no.
The name at the top of the script from last week's episode, Dorothy Zelda Lansend, aka DZL, is our great aunt Dot. Lansend is our grandmother's maiden name.
We were out and about for most of this episode, so we apologise for any issues with the sound that you might encounter.
We've stopped the car and are digesting a ton of vital information.
You said it. We could not stop ourselves for talking about it, so we had to record so we could actually have a conversation.
I'll explain, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Dorothy Zelda Lansend is our great aunt. This revelation has triggered a significant number of discoveries and an extremely tense and strange week with our awful grandmother, Emily.
Seriously, she's the worst.
The worst.
We rarely see her, but after, the revelation that the Back of Bourke script was, in last week's episode, we decided it was a necessary evil, and she, of course, refused to be recorded.
I think you'll agree that, it was worth the terrible visit, though, because at least, she let us keep a small box of Dot's things from which we have confirmed that our great aunt Dot wrote and directed Back of Bourke, a box that is currently sitting in my lap.
I'm going to have to fight you on whether or not it was a terrible visit that was worth it. It was certainly a terrible visit, although I appreciate the spoils.
Yes.
The first thing we found out from our grandmother, Emily, is that her and Dot had been estranged since Dot moved away for university. Emily and their mother and father had a falling out with Dot because she brought home her girlfriend. Yeah, and then they told them that they were in love and they were living together. This wasn't Annie. This was a girl that Dot broke up with, I think, in her first year of study.
Yeah. From what Emily
Emily.
From what Emily told us, she was doubling down, as she usually does in any conversation, and literally said to us today that she does not regret her decision to be apart from her sister.
Yeah, she's a real catch, that Emily.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah, and she knew about Annie and Adelaide, despite being a small city. It works for gossip, just, like the tiniest country town.
Yeah, I think you can only experience that if you've ever lived in Adelaide. Also...
Hey, what high school did you go to?
Also, Dot and Annie turned up together at our great-grandmother's and great-grandfather's funeral. So Dot and Emily's parents. They had died within 2 days of each other. Emily has casually admitted during our conversation she screamed at Dot and Annie until they left.
Mid-service.
Oh, she's a complete lunatic.
Strangely comforting to know she always was.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, so Emily, grandmother, knew that Annie had died but did not reach out to Dot. She had heard through some, mutual friends or whatever, that Dot was suffering a possible mental breakdown, and still she did not reach out to her sister. And so Dot died by suicide approximately 3 years after Annie did. And grandmother does not know exactly how or when Annie passed away.
So the thing that she also told us was Dot did not have any next of kin. So because of the time period and Annie being passed away, all of her possessions defaulted to our grandmother Emily.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure to write a will, kids. Emily got rid of most of Dot's things, but still had this one box in the loft. She had used it to hold down, as she put it, a pesky bit of insulation.
I couldn't believe when she said
Yeah.
it. From what we can excitedly see, the box contains a few scraps of matted paper which appear to be scripts.
I'm so excited.
A silk scarf, a stack of mouldy ticket stubs, and a damaged notebook.
One more thing. Before we stop recording, our grandmother remembered Annie's surname, mainly because Emily was racist and it was another thing to hate.
It was racist or still is?
Still is racist.
So Lee, Annie Lee.
Okay, so we have to be quite quiet because we are in a library, but Michael cannot whisper, so this should be interesting.
I can't whisper at all. This is my attempt.
Okay, so we've hit a bit of a dead end, Googling Dr. Annie Lee, and of course some specific keywords related to her does not give us much. We even went as far as page 10 on most searches. Imagine.
We were in contact with the University of Adelaide, who gave a huge runaround, and they denied that they had anybody ever working for them with the surname Lee, which is insane.
We skirted the administration, which we are very happy to publicise because they were exceptionally withholding. So now we are physically in the university library.
And we've been here for about 3 hours and think we have finally found something.
I have a conspiracy that it is because Dr. Lee's article was seen as embarrassing for the university and they discredited her by literally erasing her from their history.
So not so much a conspiracy when our student source said as much.
Okay. Sadly, we were not able to find the article that outlines the following figure and the Back of Bourke ritual. We were able to find a tiny note about Annie Lee in an issue of Adelaide Uni's student magazine On D from 1954. It says, Annie Lee is On D's guest editor for the philosophy and sociology issue. Lee is currently working towards her master's in metaphysical philosophy. Her study has a focus on specific questions and elements of ontology, the study of being, and the nature of existence. As Lee describes it, quote, the world wanting an unknown value from you, end quote. Lee is trying to discover the what and how of that value.
I think we should recap a little bit on what we found out about Annie and Dot.
From the beginning of all of this?
I think it would help give a better understanding of their integral connection to Back of Bourke.
Well, the very first thing we knew, or we thought we knew, was the family legend that Great Aunt Dot was an actor in the first episode of Back of Bourke.
And then, according to former librarian Jackie, a blonde woman with tinted glasses was associated with filming Back of Bourke in the South Australian town of Whyalla in the mid-1960s. We did not mention this at the time because it seemed incredibly speculative, but from the few pictures we have seen, our Great Aunt Dot was a blonde who wore tinted glasses. After receiving a script page from our archive source, we discovered Dorothy Landsend was the writer and director of Back of Bourke. This was then again confirmed by the website codes.
And regarding Annie, from the production website, Back of Bourke episode 7 has notes relating to a journal, Annie's journal, which we found among Dot's things in the box our grandmother gave us. More on that later. We also pieced together from a Reddit post and additional information from a university master's student that Dr. Lee was the first to publish a reference to a following figure and hypothesize on a ritual to get to Back of Bourke.
After hearing the name Dot Landsend in our previous episode, we were contacted by a friend of Dot Nanny's. Charlie Smythe is 96, but as she says, has the arse of an 89-year-old. She insisted we use her real name.
Thanks for doing this, Charlie.
Oh, you're welcome, dear. I'll be dead soon, so I don't care what you're using this for.
Why did you get in touch with us?
Well, my granddaughter and I listen to podcasts together. We try to make them Australian. We were listening to this one, and I practically threw the mug I was holding at her when I heard Dot's name.
Do you know why Dot wore tinted glasses?
It was the projections at her work. The bright flickering lights gave her migraines. She wore them any time there was bright pulsating lights. Well, that's what she told me, I think.
Can you tell us how you met Dot and Annie?
Again?
For the podcast.
Right. I met Dot and Annie when they had already been together for a while. The women who like women scene in Adelaide is small now. Can you even imagine what it was like in the 50s? Well, we had a small makeshift lesbian bar that was stereotypically also a sapphic bookshop that did poetry evenings. Annie and I bonded because we would go out and smoke any time someone started a reading. Annie was a strong, sassy lady. You're not able to make it in academics in an old university while being a woman, gay and first-generation Chinese if you were not. I like Dot too, but she was softer than Annie, quieter.
Now for a few questions we've not yet discussed and saved for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry if this is upsetting, but do you know how and when Annie died?
Oh, that's okay. It was a long time ago, dear. Annie went missing in, what was it? Sorry, my memory doesn't hold exact dates as it used to.
Take your time.
Around 1959. And when we heard of her passing...
I'm so sorry to interrupt. You said Annie went missing.
For about 2 or 3 years. She She disappeared somewhere in the outback. Originally, she left for an academic mission or something. I remember Dot being pissed. They had a big fight at the bar. It echoed. Said Annie did not have to go. I thought Dot was being codependent. That was until Annie did not come home. Months went by without a word. Annie would not have been mean enough to not be in touch with Dot, even if they were fighting. Dot reported it to the local police where Annie was missing. Dot even visited there for a while to push the local police, but nothing came of it. Dot even pushed for it to be investigated by the South Australian police, but you can imagine they had the same attitude as the country police. Not much has changed. Well, Dot was not family. There's no way she was Annie's wife in their eyes.
So, but where in the country did Annie go missing?
Oh, somewhere in New South Wales.
Bourke?
Well, no, there's a thought. But honestly, I don't know. If Dot mentioned it, I've forgotten.
So Annie went missing. It's awful to say, but ultimately she must have been found before passing away.
Well, found may be the wrong word.
How so?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just take as much time as you need. We don't need to continue.
Take a break.
No, I want to continue. You think it being so long ago, losing a friend, some wounds you forget about, but do not heal even if you leave them alone. She died when a truck hit her on a freeway in outback New South Wales. I know this date, signed in my memory, December 1961. Annie was one of my dearest people. She was there when my first long-term girlfriend broke up with me, laughed outwardly and unabashedly at bad poetry. She would drink one beer followed by 5 shots and then was always confused why she was so drunk. Loved to dance. She could not name any modern singers, but would not shut up about modern philosophers.
We're so sorry.
As much as I loved Annie, I equally loved Dot. She was quietly the smartest person in every room, kind but blunt and fierce when needed. They were an idyllic couple, not perfect, but perfectly in love. We lost Dot at the same time we lost Annie.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I was with my first husband at the time. We offered for Dot to come and stay with us so that she was not alone. She refused, saying she was working on something, and that was the last time I spoke with her. I was overcome with grief when I heard of her suicide, but I was not surprised. I wish I could have done more.
We understand. And thank you for sharing with us. It's very important that we all understand Dot and Annie as the amazing people that they were. You've helped with that.
Thank you.
Charlie was right. We confirmed that Annie died when she was hit by a truck on a country road in December 1961, just outside of the Boar Baths in Bourke. She had no surviving family. As we said, just after leaving our grandmother's house, Emily, we got a box from her that contained all sorts of items that once belonged to Dot. We have sorted through everything, and it is difficult to contain our excitement. We have to explain all of the connections between these objects in a bit of a roundabout way, so hopefully we are able to do that in a way that you can stay with us.
Let's start with the full scripts. They are not from Back of Bourke. We have examined them thoroughly. However, one of the crumpled pieces of paper is a portion of a probable Back of Bourke script. We can presume this because of the notebook also given to us. But first, the script.
The page is full but whole, foxed and moulded. The text is blurred, half is legible. It is a scene description and it reads, "She visited here often. The walls are taller than the building outside, deeper too, but still the same assumed shape. Photographs in miscellaneous bordered frames are exhibited in unpleasant groups. No pattern, no consistency. All of the photographs are the same proportion and print size, as are the frames. Each photograph depicts the same image, the Welcome to Bourke sign, faded green metal and bold white font. But there is a new photograph, the only black and white image, a shining, fast-moving flatbed truck. You can see the gravel in its wheels, moving away from the disgusting welcoming signs that paper all the other walls, away from Bourke. The bottom of the page, it has a number, title and initial, the same as the page of episode 1, and this one is numbered 1.9, named A Picture is Worth, and initialed DZL.
The notebook in the box was written by Annie Lee, kept treasured by Dot. One entry, almost at the very end, scribbled in messy, large text, reads, "There was excitement today. The gallery acquired a new work, and Dot, I knew it was for me, only for me. Others can see it, obviously, but it is mine. I promise I can feel it. Hundreds, maybe thousands of photographs are displayed in the space. I have told you this before. Some are in a grid, others clumped. I do not like the inconsistency. I think they should all stay in lines. Not that it should matter, considering they all capture the same subject. The Welcome to Bourke sign. Faded green metal and bold white font. Mocking. Rude. We know where we are, imprisoned. But the one today, Dot, the one for me, it is gorgeous. A shining, fast-moving flatbed truck. You can see the gravel in its wheels, moving away from the disgusting, welcoming signs that paper all the other walls, away from Bourke. Like A Picture is Worth, many of the entries relate back to the episode stories from Back of Bourke.
We are positive the notebook or journal is Annie's, confirmed from not only the handwriting, of which we now have many samples, but the content. We have talked about it over and over, but decided we feel like reading on the podcast and posting all the pages from Annie's journal would be an invasion of privacy. This may change, but for the moment we feel, well, a little bit icky about it.
Yeah. However, to tell the story of Dot and Annie and Back of Bourke properly...
We'll have to read some of them.
Of course, but just the pertinent parts.
Yeah, from the middle of the journal. I hurt my nose today. Do not worry, Dot. I do not believe it is broken. I suppose I could not see a doctor even if it were. I've not been sick since being here, and any slight ailments seem to resolve quickly. I assume my nose will also. I walked into a wall, specifically a painting of a shop front. It is entirely realistic. Dust particles can be seen in immaculate detail. There are many such murals here. There's something scribbled out there. Full the following figure. So I've taken to hiding this journal behind an admittedly poor sketch of a bread bin. Before we move on to another piece of Annie's writing, we wanted to address that there are clear parallels between this entry and the Back of Bourke episode titled Hidden in Plain Sight, which was discussed in the podcast episode 4.
There are 3 conclusions we could draw from the similarities, or maybe intricacies is a better word, between Annie's journal and Dot's scripts. The first is that Annie Lee suffered a long-term and drawn-out delusion focused on a topic that she had been immersed in through study, on which Dot based her television scripts. The second, Annie does not have dates in her journal, therefore could have written this strange notebook on the script ideas of Dot.
The final is that Dot drew the inspiration for the program on the authentic experiences suffered by her partner. And if this third conclusion is true, it is therefore true that Back of Bourke is real. We were going to stop the episode there, but, well, we had a last-minute update.
Just as we were about to upload.
Yeah.
Press record.
I did.
I'm not doing this anymore. The emails were one thing, but this is ridiculous.
Michelle.
No.
This either means this stuff is seeping into our actual lives, or even worse, the creeps that keep trying to contact you with theories and horrible stories have actually found out where you live. Probably where I live.
Look, I understand that this is scary.
Seriously, I'm done. You both should be too. Michael, you have a family to think about.
And I don't, is that what you're saying?
The thing on the TV is back.
If you have any information about Back of Bourke, please get in touch with us. The link to the podcast website is in the show notes, and you can email us at bob@3pwidget.com.
I note that these episodes were recorded and researched on the stolen and unceded lands of the Ghana people. The names of some of the locations discussed are colonial, and we understand and apologise for the atrocities that were committed during all the times from which we quote.